everybody, and welcome to another episode of KTComix. Today I have a special episode. I'm actually with a good friend of mine, a local collector, and he's got some goodies, and we're going to go over that today. So, first of all, I just want to say welcome, Scott, to the show, and everyone, this is Scott, and you want to talk about yourself for a little bit?
Hey everybody, thanks for having me. Good to be on your show. I love what you put out so far, so
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
excited to be part of the content.
Yeah, good. So today's going to be kind of a little bit of an interview of recent collections that he's done, talk about some things that are happening in the market, and I'm excited to get into it. So before we started shooting today, I got a chance to go through all his recent pickups that he's done, and man, is there some great comic books here that he's picked up. Just phenomenal, and the cool thing about it is it's got a good story to it. Scott, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I buy a lot of stuff out of the States and overseas and get it shipped to a post office box in Montana. And I got a parcel that arrived beginning of March in 2020. So I had a 30-day window to order as much stuff as I could before I had to pay double for my storage fees for having stuff down there. And they shut the border due to COVID. So finally here November of 2021, I was able to go and pick up everything that I had down there, which ranged from half a dozen silver coins to three short boxes of CGC books and 3 short boxes of raw books. So
a year later, so you bought these things a year ago and then had it shipped to the States, and then you had to wait a full year before you went to pick them up.
Actually, probably closer to 22 months.
The patience that you have, unbelievable, man. 'Cause I would just I'd be calling, I'd be trying to go down there myself. I just couldn't imagine having a whole bunch of cool CGC books and a bunch of other awesome, collectibles just sitting at the border waiting for me for 22 months. No, patience, bro. Good for you.
It's a virtue.
But it's true. So he showed me some really cool stuff, and it was great. And so hopefully maybe down the road we can kind of show a couple cool things about that. The first question I have for Scott today is basically I'm going to ask you, do you like slab books over raw books? And also, is it CGC versus CBCS? Which one do you like to lean towards?
Oh, PGX all the way.
PGX.
That's, a lot of people don't like slab books because you can't read them, and a lot of people prefer slab because it preserves that quality of that, or the integrity of the book, right?
Yeah, right.
For me, on a personal standpoint, I will purchase both. I'm actually in the middle of doing a full ASM run in raw and in slabbed.
Yeah. So that's really cool. So you're doing a full run of Spider-Man slabbed, and then a full run raw, so that you can read, essentially.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal.
That's a big goal. And let me tell you, folks, he's close. He's close to having it done. I've seen some pretty amazing books here. So great. So then it's CGC or CBCS. You got to pick one.
Pick
PGX.
one. Yeah, no. I got coasters for PGX. If I ever got an AF-15 in PGX, I'd probably have to take it. But definitely CGC. They're kind of the trademark for this industry standard, right? CBCS has come a long way in their cases, but there's been some other practices that have kind of frowned upon and hurt their integrity.
So enough about the grading things. Let's shift a little focus here now onto you collecting. Like you said, you do a little bit of ASM. You've collected. So how did you start collecting? Where did you begin? You told me a pretty interesting story earlier before the cameras, but I wanted to kind of know what started Scott collecting.
What started me collecting was Kiss. I collected Kiss memorabilia from a young age. My first album was Destroyer in '78 as a 7-year-old. I got it at a garage sale. Yeah.
And that's what kicked it all off.
That's what kicked it all off.
Who's your favorite member? Gene?
Absolutely Gene.
Was it the tongue? You liked the tongue.
The tongue, yeah. The tongue and spit and the fire and the blood.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But I got into comics. I was in grade 10 on the basketball team. And we went down to Vancouver for a tournament. And one of the guys in the basketball team was from down there. His mom still lived down there. Took me to a comic shop on Granville. And my first mini series that I ever bought for comics was Frank Miller's Wolverine.
The 1 of 4?
The 1 of 4. I bought all 4 for $80.
Wow.
Yeah. And I spent my basketball lunch money for food for the weekend on comics.
So you were hungry, is what you're saying,
Yeah,
but you had
so,
good reading material.
But my buddy's like, oh, this is a great series. You got to read this. This is fantastic. And so I bought them, and then it gets better because we did go to visit his mom, and he introduced me to his mom's neighbor, and it was none other than the Godfather himself, Todd McFarlane.
Todd McFarlane.
Todd McFarlane. Met him when I was in grade 10.
Wow.
Didn't have a clue who he was. Just he was an up and coming artist, and yeah.
Just
he was Dell's mom's neighbor. Yeah.
Wow, that is a story, hey?
Yeah.
So now, obviously, at the time, were you getting autographs? Were you
no,
shocked?
I just knew he was Dell's mom's neighbor, Todd.
Just a regular guy,
Yeah.
Just like anyone else, right?
Yeah.
That's a cool story.
Yeah.
So that kind of kicked it off for you, hey?
Yeah, yeah, and then I've always liked Spider-Man, so I just started collecting Spider-Man over the years, and I had a pretty decent collection up to the point when I moved to Saskatchewan, and most of the guys in the local area know that it's now in the hands of somebody else because my ex-wife decided to give it away.
Right.
So,
right. So yeah, what happened is you've actually, this is kind of what I wanted to kind of chat about, is that at one point your collection was gone, right?
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, well, now I have to rebuild, right? Walk me through the steps of how am I going to rebuild? What are the key moments that got you back to where you are now?
Well, for the longest time, I really didn't collect anything. I gotten rid of most of all my Kiss memorabilia was gone too.
Oh man,
that all went because I had all the McFarlane toys by this time, and when the comics were gone, and recently divorced, met my now wife, and we came across these bobblehead figures, and I said to her, "Geez, these are ugly. Who'd ever own these?"
So the Funko Pops is the thing, is they're ugly.
Yeah, no one would ever own them. And then we fast forward to let's see, we were together 2008, so it would be 2014. They started to come out with some really nice Disney ones, and my wife was like, "Oh, these are really cute." So we got into collecting the Funko bobbleheads, and by the time we started to sell them, we were well over 2,000 bobbleheads in the house.
Wow! So go from nothing for 6 years, a house full of pops.
a bedroom dedicated to it. Yeah.
That's incredible. And then you told me when I first met you, I remember when I first met you, is that we were actually at a local comic book party, and you were talking that you actually paid for your wedding through Funko Pops, and stuff like that. So full circle there, you know?
Yeah. Well, we got involved with selling them locally, and then with a couple other people, we created the Sask Funko Facebook page. Yeah.
So now you've actually got rid of most of your Pops. You said you've only had a couple left that you're keeping for personal gain, but then you shifted focus again. What made you go back to comics?
I actually found a couple of boxes, or I brought some stuff back from my mom and dad's house in BC that mom had cleared out from underneath the storage room. She says, "I got some of your shit. Next time you're up, you're bringing it back with you." And I actually had a couple comics in there that were like, "Oh yeah, no, I remember I used to collect comics." And the wife had said, "Well, if you want to collect more, go ahead." So.
Yeah. It's always good when you get the permission, because then it's like, okay, I'm doing it.
Yeah, but I don't think she realized how extensive it was going to get. So.
It's quite extensive, that's for sure. But that's awesome, right? So nostalgia again refueled your passion for comics, right? So
yeah.
So
and
now we're
with the MCU, my kids are interested in it too, right? Like I've got one that's into The Walking Dead and one that's into Ghost Rider. So
Ghost Rider, Walking Dead, and that's kind of cool because now it kind of mixes modern day with your older comics, and that's kind of how when I think of you as a collector, I always think of Spider-Man and Bronze and Silver Age stuff, but you're also a quite in-depth modern comic collector as well. And so that has kind of some things with your family involved now too, right? So the Walking Dead comics and all that kind of stuff, that's all part of your family. So that's awesome, right? So MCU, there is a lot happening right now. What are you looking forward to coming down the pipeline? What are you looking forward to seeing in the big theater?
I'm excited for the new Thor movie.
Love and Thunder?
Yeah, that will be good, I think. I know there's been lots of scattered talk about the Eternals. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't really be an honest judge of it. But
right.
I really hope it opens up the doors for a lot more of your B characters. Right, like, there's a lot of stuff that we haven't seen that's had some really good storylines to them, and some really good villains that haven't been used to their full extent yet, right?
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. But my next question is, there's buying comics, you're buying NonStop Comics, this one comic you think everybody should get a hold of now before it gets too late. There's a hold option, which if you already have it, hang on to it because it's going to start climbing up. And then one that you're going to fire and sell off right now. What 3 comics are they?
Oh, that's a tough one. Easy one for everybody to sell off right now. Blow it out as low as you can get and get rid of would be anything ASM. I know a couple of guys will buy that up in a heartbeat.
And no one likes Amazing Spider-Man comics.
No, that's a tough one. I mean, obviously, I'm going to hold on to all my Spider-Man stuff.
Right.
There's so much potential for stuff you doing ASM, and that's my goal is full ASM runs, right? So yeah, definitely hold Spider-Man, or buy Spider-Man. I was going to hold on to anything and speculate. It'd probably be the X-Men stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that's could be done with the X-Men coming up.
Right.
And if you're gonna buy on speculation, I would look into a lot of stuff that Boom is putting out.
Boom.
Yeah.
So yeah, you actually just talked to me about this the other day. That Boom Studios or Boom Comics is really, really hitting the market hard right now with a bunch of new releases and great content, great books that they're writing. They're good art, and you're thinking Boom Comics is the way to go.
Yeah, there's a lot of good young writers out there that are spawned from us older comic book guys that grew up with the silver and the bronze stuff, and even the golden age that have read through their dad's collections and stuff, right? So yeah. I mean, and being able to go right to an adapt to TV or to a movie, there's lots of potential there, just with Netflix and Prime and
for
everybody
sure.
else, right?
Streaming outlets, there's infinite out there now, right?
Yeah.
So cool. So now, if for Boom, which one would you recommend people pick up and read?
Can't think of anything quickly off the top of my head, but the one that I have been reading is Regarding Oswald's Body.
Regarding Oswald's Body. Now, you actually just talked to me about this too, is that it's a really interesting concept, and I'm not going to get too much into the story part of it, but it really ties in history with Kennedy, right? Is that correct? Yeah. And so, obviously, there's some fiction to it as well, or unknowns, conspiracies. But it falls around the Kennedy, so I'm gonna read that because I'm excited. He really sold me on it. So if you get a chance, Regarding Oswald's Body, that's a good one to read. My last thing that I always like to do is give you the spotlight to show off 3 of your most prized possessions in your collection, whether it's value-wise, whether it's something meaningful to you, whether it's just something unique. You got the floor. Go ahead, Scott. Show them what you got.
Okay. Just a couple things I grabbed at random. Took my kids to a couple cons, and we got to meet Jeremy Bullock and Carrie Fisher, both before they passed away.
Wow.
And they signed a couple of bobbleheads for me, so those are just 2 key pieces in my collection that I will probably never sell.
That's incredible.
And still go back to the Funko bobbleheads. Like I said, I've seen these before, and they were the ugliest things out there. But these were a birthday gift from my wife. She took the time to go out of her way to find these on the internet and collect these for me, so I will keep those in my collection. Those will
I'm a
stay
Star
there.
Child guy. If I'm gonna be a kiss,
Are you?
I'm a Star Child.
Yeah.
I like it.
And last one is a recent pickup for me.
Oof, this cover.
ASM 50 in a 5.0 grade. I bought it this year for myself for my 50th birthday. So
gotta like that. 50
that
on 50.
50 on 5.0 for number 50 on my 50th. So that was just a key piece just to pick up for this year.
That's great. And you know that comic is the cover unreal, right?
Yeah.
Like it is popping. So to have that first appearance of Kingpin, if I'm not mistaken, is in that too.
You bet.
And so a 5.0 number 50 ASM on your 50th birthday.
Yep.
That's awesome. Cool.
Yep.
All right. So that's everything.
I've got lots more to show you, but
honestly, I could be here. We could do a month straight, and he would show me some pretty cool books. So, but on that, unfortunately, we're kind of running out of time. But I just want to say, Scott, thanks so much for having coming on my show today, talking about this stuff. And
thanks for having me, man.
It's been awesome. But
we'll be back here for part 2, part 3.
Yeah, we'll be back. Trust me. Where I'm trying to get him on Winging It. So hopefully we'll get him going on that. Put down in the comment below if you want to see Scott eat some hot wings, all right? But until then, thanks so much, and we'll catch you on the next episode. But right now, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you get a moment. It helps me out in a long way. But besides that, keep on collecting.